Hey guys, it's ViewMasters Reactions, and this is something a little different. I only am doing this because I haven't seen hardly anybody else do it. All the movie channels I watch and stuff, the only guy I've seen talk about this is John Campea, and a guy that I never even heard of who has as many subscribers as me. I just broke 1,800. He has about 1,800 as well. They're the only two guys I've seen talk about this. I'm sure others have, but no one I follow has, and I follow a lot of people. So this is the announcement of Rocky 7. Basically, from what I gather, I found this out early yesterday morning. I read about it. I get all Rocky news. Rocky, if you didn't know my channel, is one of my favorites of all time. On my channel, I have videos of Ivan Drago, Dolph Lundgren signing my Russian boxer shorts. I have videos of him at Monster Mania cutting a Dolph Lundgren cake. All these are on my channel if you want to see them. And in my intro to ViewMasters, I talk about how Rocky 4 is probably one of the most watched movies by myself of all time. I've probably realistically seen Rocky 4 over 1,000 times. Even though that sounds ridiculous, it is the truth. If you want to know the details behind it and how that is even possible, watch my Welcome to ViewMasters video. It's on the front of my page. So it'll explain how that is possible. But here is the news. It came from Joe Blow, at least that's how I found out. Joe Blow, if you know movie news, you know Joe Blow. They're a pretty reputable source. They release a lot of the trailer stuff. Joe Blow has millions and millions, tens of millions of views. So they're a very reliable source. They had an interview with Sylvester Stallone, and in that interview, Sylvester Stallone, out of nowhere, according to them, just said, oh yeah, and by the way, I'm in production of another Rocky film. Not a Creed 3, an actual Rocky film. I don't know if it'll be titled Rocky 7, but if it's in the Rocky franchise, it will be number 7. They went Rocky 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then had Rocky Balboa, which was 6. This would be Rocky 7 in the franchise. Even if it's not titled Rocky 7, it is the 7th film in the Rocky franchise. The Creeds don't really count. The Creeds are their own franchise. It's basically like a shared universe, and Rocky is in those. But this is said to be an actual sequel to the Rocky films. From what I gather, the info is very vague, but what it says is Rocky himself runs into a boxer that is an illegal immigrant, and from what I gather, trains him, but something to the effect of they're going overseas to South America, I believe. I could be wrong about this, guys. This is just solely based off of what I saw yesterday in the news article. I believe it is an immigrant in the country illegally, and Rocky starts training him. Rocky forms like a kinship with him. And I guess since Rocky came from Italian immigrants, he kind of has like a soft spot for him. But it sounds very much like Rocky 5's plot. Tommy Gunn was like white trash, had nobody, begged Rocky to train him. Rocky trained him. He turned into a dirtbag and turned on Rocky. I liked Wilson Duke, the over-the-top Don King type guy. But the fight at the end I thought was cool. They had flashbacks of Mickey, like, get up, you son of a bitch. They had the dinging of the bell, him rising up. I still thought it was like a guilty pleasure Rocky. The first two were like serious Rockies. 3 and 4 were sort of like goofy, but still awesome. And 4 was my all-time favorite. Even though it is cheesy and it is not as well made as some of the others, it is still one of my favorites just for the Russian cheese factor of it all. And Rocky saved the world. He basically ended the Cold War with that fight. Rocky Balboa, also very good. 5 is probably everyone's least favorite, but it's still, in my mind, a good flick. This would be 7. I don't know if people know this, but Rocky himself, Sylvester Stallone, has said he owns no part of the character Rocky. He writes the movies, he directs the movies, he produces the movies. Not all of them. I think all but 5 he directed, but all the rest he wrote. Even 5 he wrote. So Winkler and MGM, who owned the character, basically said themselves, we are very excited. We're in negotiations with Sylvester Stallone. He already wrote the film and we're ready to go with this. So it isn't actually in production yet, but it is like right there. And everyone involved seems very hyped for it. Both the Creed movies made a ton of money, so I don't see why they wouldn't. I just hope they do it right. And honestly, I have faith in them. I have no reason to doubt them. Out of, if you count the Creed movies, there are 8 movies right now. This will be number 9. Obviously, this will be Rocky 7. But if you count the Creed movies in the universe of Rocky, I think all of them were good. But even if you discount 5, that still means there were 7 out of 8 great Rocky movies. And 5, in my mind, is still good. So they have a pretty damn good track record when it comes to franchises. Most franchises have 1, 2, maybe 3 misses. This one barely had one. And like I said, I still don't think it's the worst thing. It was the worst of the Rockies, but it's still a decent movie. It kind of still held it all together. I know most people can't believe that Paulie lost all their money and that the things ended the way they did. And a lot of people are like, why didn't Rocky just do more advertising? Why do you have to get back into fighting? He could have probably did a couple of commercials and he would have been back in the green. There is also a television show about Rocky in the making, supposedly. It is in talks with Sylvester Stallone and the same people to do a prequel to Rocky 1 with young Rocky Balboa, which means they would have to cast a new character as Rocky, young Rocky. Now, being as Rocky in the first one was in his like early to mid 20s, I kind of am hesitant on this one. I feel like they'll do a great job with the directing and the story. Sylvester Stallone is writing and directing it again, always tied to the Rocky franchise, but I don't want to see anyone else be Rocky except Sylvester Stallone. Some people were saying maybe they'll use like de-aging, but how would you do that? The guy is in his 70s and they're talking about de-aging him to a point before he was even acting. So like, that's really hard. Most of the people they de-age, they're taking elements of roles they played when they were younger actors. This would have to be before Sylvester Stallone even acting because he started with Rocky. So how could you get images of him as a younger person than that unless he has home videos and stuff? I know he did porn, but they're not going to do that. So they're obviously going to have to get a younger actor. It's the only way it would make sense. And part of me, unless they get the perfect guy, part of me doesn't want that because Sylvester Stallone is such a unique character, such a unique person. The way he talks, his mannerisms, his look. I don't know how I feel about that one. But both these things are probably happening. The movie is most likely definitely happening. Everyone's involved. Everyone's negotiating. That's all I have to say about it. You guys let me know what you think. I'm going to do a live stream tomorrow night. I'm going right now to watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm going to do a live stream tomorrow talking all about that and talking more about this. So if you're a fan of Rocky and you're a fan of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I'm doing a live stream tomorrow. I'm either going to do it at 7 p.m. or 9 p.m. But either way, tomorrow I will post the thumbnail with the details. Hop on tomorrow night and chat with me. If not, let me know what you think in the comments. Comments down below. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.